This is Salina. My point of view of Monogentics session 4. These are just my notes that you can take with you and build upon. He covered the topics of fasting, of food, exercise, and a moving lifestyle. There is some research you might want to look up, and I'll link it below, from Dr. Maffetone, Philip Maffetone. Super helpful, very accessible, and highly applicable to the idea of a longevity lifestyle, as well as moving into a vastly fitness lifestyle, like a pro athlete or wanting to do some races, etc. So here's my notes. Regarding fasting and exercise, you're basically training your will. We need to train our will when we're taking care of our temple body. Next session. Basically, exercise is just, he mentioned 1 Timothy 4:8, where exercise profits or benefits little. What he was saying, which is a very good point, basically in that time when that was spoken, exercise was everything, Olympics were starting. But basically, exercise is just exercise in the end. If it's not nearly as comparably profitable as when you exercise with a spiritual practice, such as bringing your tempo into its highest frequency, and you will, where you have profitable, like great physical benefits, emotional, mental benefits, as well as spiritual benefits. Okay, so fasting and food, topic number 1. When you're losing fat and losing weight, diet, those are two different things, but just as a starting point, he spoke about fasting. When you're done with a fast, do not reward yourself, or you're defeating the purpose. The fast is to get rid of the unhealthy patterns, the mindset, the chemical imbalance that helps you have that mindset, in addition to the physical health. So it's not a reward, you're just shifting gears. So you want to live in this new way, so you wouldn't reward the old way. Keto is fine, but it does need to be cycled. I completely agree with that. So what he talked about is the 3-month keto cycle in a year, where you have a month on, or 3 months on of keto and 1 month off with the carb load. But the carbs are healthy carbs. They're more of the a metabolic diet. So you want to use fruits and whole foods as opposed to like pasta and bread. So fruits and potatoes, and you just up the increase of that. You don't all of a sudden start eating chips and fries as a regular diet kind of thing. So that's the cycle. The healthy carbs, a little more of them for 1 month after 3 months of keto, and then repeating that. And being aware of how your body responds to the healthy carbs, to the sugar. In the first cycle, it might be a little challenging, but it gets better if you're consistent with your will. Keto diet is definitely training your will to be not reliant on sugar or carbs. Sugar, similar, their process the same, for your energy or for your emotional support. Low carb diets such as keto help you get out of the insulin resistance that so many people are in, where you're going to store every carb that comes in. You'll burn basically your muscle tissue. Your body will cannibalize the easiest source of energy, which will not be fat. So we want to get out that. The low carbs is designed to help you get out of that, and then you want to balance it out. So sometimes you have to go to another extreme to get out of an extreme, and then you find balance. For a metabolic balance and gut health, really important how you're digesting. So I'm just learning this. I have to post about it. I tend to eat really quick, and I drink really quick. I drink my water too fast. And when I lived in Europe, they would tease me relentlessly. But the food at the time over there was way different than the food here, so I started to slow down. Then I came back here and started to speed up. So the metabolic balance and gut strength, the ability to metabolize carbs or sugar well. Kirby and others have often taken, he said, a tablespoon or a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, which is, you want it to be a well distilled in America. Bragg's is one of the best, Braggs, apple cider vinegar. And you can dilute it in a little water. You can take it like a shot or a small cup. But if you're very low on gut health, your gut biome is very compromised and weak, that might make you feel like you're having acid reflux. So you may want to back off of that. But you can build back up to it. And that you would take that 45 minutes to 60 minutes prior to eating. Another thing he said is greens, proteins, carbs in that order. So you want to eat your greens or your veggies, then your proteins, and then your carbs. In fact, for most people, for me and for most people I coach, I have them eat their sugary carbs, like fruit, completely separate, or if you're going to have dessert, completely separate, at least an hour, if not 2 or 3 hours, different than your protein and the rest of the healthy food. Not that fruit is not healthy, but just so you have the right digestive enzymes to help you break things down. And then metabolic eating or metabolic diet, which you can look up, is basically choosing to, he said that, but it just went by quickly. It's basically choosing to eat supportive foods that support every cell in your body. Eating to support the body at the cellular level, which is what Michelle and Amali and others who had stepped forward to give us AO scans or to work with us on our diet. We're looking, the new kingdom age, the next age medical and scientific approach to health definitely has to do with fortifying every cell of your body, which includes the eating, the exercise, the breathing, and the emotions. And the thought processes. So getting that, getting your research, your information, a little at a time, just take what you can handle, is really important, because then you are really fortifying every cell of the body. And I am living proof of what happens when you don't do that and you demand everything from your body. Okay, so doing that metabolic approach is an optimal longevity fitness lifestyle. It's a practice. So you want to eat whole living foods. Teach your body to refrain from eating processed, fried, overcooked, and over-salted or sauced foods. I make all my own dressings and all my own sauces because I have to know what every ingredient is. But it's also the process of being, in a symbiotic gratitude with all the components of what you're going to be eating. That life force energy. And then how you eat. Eating consciously in gratitude for every component of what you eat that has laid down its life and harnessing that life force energy. So it's not just fueling. And as Kirby mentioned, me as a young athlete, it was fuel. I ate for fuel. And I paid the price. So don't do what I did. Okay, number 2, exercise. Consistent, intentional exercise must be combined with a low carb cycling diet to achieve your weight loss, fat loss, and health and vitality gains. It's a lifestyle. And if you don't exercise, there are plenty of easy ways to start. If you are impaired for exercise, let's say leg impaired, you don't walk, you can't walk, you're in a wheelchair, the breath work, the arm movement, the intention of the heart, there's so much you can do. So be not dismayed. So now he talked about Dr. Philip Maffetone. I'll just touch on it just a little bit more, but please look it up. I'll send you a link. The Maffetone pace, it's Maffetone pace and numbers that he talked about, is really an ideal practice for longevity fitness and a perfect place for anybody to start. He said it's what it is the 180 minus your age, which gives you a maximum heart rate you're allowed to hit as you exercise. And then you expand your cellular and your lung capacity as you hit that level. You will be able to do more and more and more at that heart rate. But you have to start lower for some of us who like to sprint out of the gate. So we start at that lower heart rate. That's only one of the exercises, but that's a really important component if you're just starting to exercise, if you need longevity, if every time you go exercise, you get hurt, and then you got to stop. This is how you want to go. And this pace with the low carb diet will help you burn fat, metabolize and cannibalize carbs well, and stabilize your hormones, which is a lot of the problem in any place that has a lot of processed food for sure and lives on adrenaline. And you will also increase, the science behind it is to increase the strong aerobic muscles, which help with longevity and fat burning. And those are the slow twitch muscles, generally the bigger muscles that have a lot of vascularity in them. And those mitochondria are more plentiful, and we want to strengthen the strong aerobic muscles for that longevity and fat burning. And oh, I just copied and pasted something twice, so I'm reading my notes twice. So that mitochondria activity is really directly, I believe, related to the life force. So when you're doing everything you're supposed to do and you're still not getting the results you want, often your mitochondria are weak. So this is a great start. There's tons of science on this now. It's so fun. But just know that this takes time, maybe 6 months, to start to feel start to live in the results. You'll feel the results usually right away, but to actually live the results often takes about 6 months. So be patient, enjoy the process. It's a lifestyle change, and it's definitely for the good. Number 3 that he talked about is move approach to life. Fascinating. I guess Kirby and I have been knowing each other for longer than we realize. I have a whole business that was about this. So basically, as you you want to keep moving through the day. You get up and get the pen. Go up and get your own water. Go do the things that you could easily ask somebody else to do. When you get a little more of a fitness vocabulary, you can do those moves in a manner that you're utilizing as many muscles as possible. When you bend down, as opposed to just bending over, you can really be focusing on the muscles that you use, and it just sort of pumps up your metabolism for the entire 24-hour period. With the low carb diet, again, Kirby and others will take that to the next level, the move lifestyle, where they'll have a 3 or so times or multiple times a day where they'll do like a 10-minute, 5 to 10 minute HIIT routine. Like instead of taking a coffee break, they'll take a HIIT routine break, or a low HIIT, a low intensity, low impact HIIT. And then you want to also add in your working out, I think I mentioned this before, your resistance training. When you're building muscle with resistance, the bigger muscles, and you can combine that in a style of workout like Pilates or some of the stuff that I do, where you're using the quick twitch and the slow twitch fibers at the same time. But basically, when you're adding resistance, you're building the muscles that burn more carbs and excite more mitochondria, the larger, slower twitch muscles. And you want to watch the form on that. And the other thing he said is super, super, super important is your strong core. I would add front and back core. And the reason you want a strong core is for obviously protecting your organs, but you also want to always be increasing your support for your spine, your structural support. So from the pelvic floor all the way up to the top of the abs, and with the back muscles in particular, the strong core, I call that the core, maybe down to your quads and your glutes. When that is strong, your structure is stronger and taller. So you're fighting against gravity. Again, similar to maybe a Pilates style of a workout where you're really focused that all the energy starts with the core and extends outward. And then he talked about timeline stamping your goals, writing, saying, putting on a calendar your deadlines, small ones and big ones. And this is specific practice for very, very much so for larger goals. Like I want to run a 10K next year or something like that. this trains your unconscious, subconscious mind to start working for it. It basically activates the reticular activator when you say, I'm going to do this, I want to do this. And then your reticular activator starts to alter filter and look for every way to make that happen. And your nervous system is a system that's non-emotional. It's to be programmed, and that's how you program it. So some people say, oh, don't say that because you're never going to do it. But holding yourself accountable within your nervous system actually is scientifically something you do need to do. It's how successful people are really, really, really successful. So he said, i.e., say something like, I want to lose weight in a healthy way. That would be your statement. And you don't have to have the entire plan, but the plan starts formulating. The matrix starts moving. Okay, I'm going to add these things in exercise that I believe are a daily or almost daily practice that you should have. Working on flexibility with breath. You don't have to become a Cirque du Soleil star, but you do need flexibility. Breathing intentionally. I think that's a daily exercise practice. Meditating, focusing on what mindfulness, thought patterns, a scripture, if that's your jive, but moving into specific mindset. So your brain, your heart, your emotions, your body temple, and your spirit are all working together. Is sort of where I'm headed with the meditation thing. And it doesn't have to, if you're not a meditating type person, it doesn't have to be for an hour or 4 hours. It doesn't even have to be for a half hour. You start with 3 minutes. You start with 1 minute, move up to 5 minutes. But what almost everyone I've ever coached, they've either said, I see the value and I don't want to do it, or this is changing my life. Pretty much that's the way it goes. If fitness has not been on your radar, I encourage you, and Kirby would encourage you, to start with small, intentional, consistent moves, whatever you're going to do. And then if training or competition or upping your level of fitness is on your radar, then please don't ever sacrifice form for function. So some people will go out of the gate a little bit fast, but they don't have the support muscles. They don't have the strength in the core to support where they want to go. So don't sacrifice the form. Just increase the strength of the form as you increase the